Shalom everyone. Today we're gonna approach a topic which is very interesting, and if we look at it with an open mind, we will be able to see what many ignore and do not want to see because they follow the pattern which they have learned in their assembly or from others in internet, and ignore things which are obvious. And this is the return of the Mashiach. We know that today, among the believers and even among our brethren from Yehuda, many are expecting the returning of the Mashiach, which is right, But what I want to show today is that the return of the Mashiach was expected in the first century. And this is very important in order to understand when we read the Brit Hadasha in its context and not outside the box. So this is very important to understand that when the people speak, they speak for a moment which is expected to come very, very soon. And I will demonstrate. Now, today when we speak about prophecy, people will tell you it is written, the seventh seal in the book of Revelation, it is written in the book of Revelation, it is written in the book of Romans, in Timothy, in Matthew, and so on and so on, to try to fix something which is not. You know, they speak about the lawless one, about the anti-Mashiach or Antichrist, they speak about the man of perdition. What is all these things? Can we see something clear? In fact, when we study the scripture in the light of the Torah and in the light of the historical events which happen at this time, we see something different. So we will see today the return of the Mashiach expectation in the first century. This means 2,000 years ago, and why he didn't happen, and what can we expect in the day we are living before the returning of the Mashiach. And this is totally different as we have learned in the assembly, in the church, or in internet. So how can I come to this point? As I said, we're going to look at the scripture, and I encourage you to take a sheet of paper, a pencil, to write the verses, to check for yourself, not to believe what I say, to check for yourself and to pray. You know, today many speak and say, the Lord revealed to me, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Elohim will not reveal outside his word. That we must know. It's not something what he reveals. You will see. I don't quote for my opinion. I will quote different sources. First, from the scripture, from the Torah, and from the historical events in the first century. This is a context, so we can move. Now, we're going to shift our vision for a returning in the first century so that we can understand the context. Please be very careful when you follow so that you may see it. I will quote a lot of verses, but this verse will help you to understand. So first we're going to go to the timing, the moment. So I will quote from Hebrew 10:24. I go to the book of Hebrew. So I stay in the first century. What I want to say also is unlike the majority of people believe that the book of Revelation written by Yohanan was written in the year 100 or just after that. Myself, I believe, like demonstrated by Tremontin, a French Hebrew and Greek speaker, that the book of Revelation was written in the year 60 to 65, prior the destruction of the temple. And this is very important to understand, because we have always to ask a question. The temple was the most important things in the life of Jewish people in the first century. Everything turned around the temple, around the service in the temple, around the korbanot, etc., etc. Everything, the life in Israel was around the temple. Now, I want to add a details which is very important, what many people do not know. If you look carefully in the scripture, in the Brit Hadashah, the so-called New Testament, you realize that Yeshua was never welcome in Jerusalem. He was never welcome. He went to Jerusalem for the feast, and then he went back to Galilee. That is the northern Israel. He went back there because Israel at this time was divided. You had the corrupt people who were living in Jerusalem, including all the Levite, the service, Caiph, and even the king Herod, who was a convert to Judaism. He was an Edomite, and he was put in place by the Romans. Don't forget, the Romans were those who occupied Jerusalem, not all Israel at this time. Not all Israel. Later on, they will go and control also the Samaria and the Galilee. But at this time, in the beginning, they were only controlling Jerusalem. And this is why they paid tribute to the Romans. Okay, so they brought offering. You can research. The Roman emperor, were considered to be gods. And the people were asked to bring offering to the emperor. This is what they did in Jerusalem, not in Galilee. In Galilee, it was the place where Yeshua went back every time. His mother was from Nazareth in Galilee. And what we call the zealot were, in fact, people zealous for the Torah. They were not criminals. They were zealous for the Torah. And this is why they separate themselves from those in Jerusalem. And we can imagine there was a discrepancy between the Galilean Jew and the Jew from Jerusalem. That we don't see it in the Brit Hadashah. You cannot see it. What you can see is that Yeshua always left Jerusalem because the Pharisees and the Sadducees and all the religious people were after him. So he went there and then he go back directly to Samaria. He went back to Galilee. This is why he was with his own disciples, Talmidim, right? I want to put that, it's an important point to consider. Just when you read, look which town and where it is. Where it is. When you speak, where is the town? Where is it? Is it close to Jerusalem? No, you will see it is always in Galilee, in the northern kingdom, in the northern part of the kingdom. So, now, we start with the book of Hebrew, and we go to the Hebrew chapter 10. And we're going to read Hebrew chapter 10. So we see here in the book of Hebrew, chapter 10, verse 24-25, he said, and let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. He's speaking here to people who are living in the first century. He says, you see the day approaching. You say, okay, it's not so much. Yeah, you will see. We go now to first Yohanan. You go first to first Yohanan, and we read the chapter 2, and we go to the verse 18. Let the children, it is the last time, and as you have heard that the anti-Mashiach shall come. Oh, he's speaking to the brethren in the first century. He speaks to them, he says, you have heard that the anti-Mashiach shall come. Even now, the time I write to you, said Yohanan, even now are there many anti-Mashiach, not one, many anti-Mashiach whereby we know that it is the last time. Wow, he say we are the last time, the last day, the last moment. Okay? So here we have a second verse. Okay? You will see that step by step everything will come to take place. So we go to Romans 13.
Hold on.
Now we look in Romans 13, verse 11. And you can check. You will see I am not out of context. And that knowing the time, that now high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believe. Now, the night is far spent, the day is at hand. The day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the work of darkness, let us put on the armor of light. Another verse, okay? 1 Corinthians chapter 7, we're going to read 27 to 29. Are you bound unto a wife? Seek not to be loose. Are you loose from a wife? Seek not a wife. And if you marry, you has not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she has not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you. But these, 29, but these I say, brethren, the time is short. It remains that both they that have wife be as though they have done, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not. You see, the time is short. He doesn't say the time is in 2000 years. He said the time is short. Short is an expression which is clear. It's not speaking in 2000 years. Now we're going to go another verse. And they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world pass away. He's speaking of this world which pass away. Okay? So now we keep going to inquire. We go to, now we are in 1 Thessalonians 4:15. For this we say unto you by the word of Jehovah, that we, which are alive, remain unto the coming of the Master, shall not prevent them that which are asleep. For the Master himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, with the trump of Elohim, and the dead in Mashiach shall rise first. He said here clearly, we which are alive remain unto the coming of the Master. He's speaking to the people in Thessalonica. He speaks about himself. Wow, that should make us a tilt. What's happened? Is Shaul a false teacher? No, remember, we speak about the coming of the Mashiach in the first century. And we see why it didn't happen as he was expected. Because I'm going to show you that Yeshua himself, who was a prophet, speak about his return in the first century. We're going to see. So we keep going to look some verses, and if you write, you can look yourself. Look. Here, you go to the famous verse which everyone knows, Matthew 24:36. The hour that no man knows, only my Father in heaven. Matthew 24:36. But it is really interesting, because if you look that, the people go only to Matthew 24. You see, 24 and 36. Of that day and hour knows no man, no, not the Melachim, the messenger of heaven, but my Father only. And he give a detail, but as the days of Noah, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Okay? That, put it in your mind. People finish to read there and do not go further. Let us go to the chapter 25, where the story of the 10 virgins. In the story of 10 virgins, we present two groups of people, okay? Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins which took their lamp, went forth to meet the bridegroom. Okay, what is a lamp? The lamp in Hebrew understanding is a Torah. Proverbs chapter 6, Psalm 119, thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Psalm 119. Okay, we see that when Yeshua is speaking about lamp, he's speaking about the Torah. They took the lamp, but the lamp, in order to work, needs the oil, and the oil is the anointing, the word flowing by the Ruach. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamp and took no oil with them. They didn't take oil. But the wise took oil in the vessels with the lamp. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, behold, the bridegroom comes, go you out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamp. And the foolish said unto the wise, give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, no, so that there be not enough for us and you, but go you rather to them that sell and buy for yourself. Remember, we have 2 groups. Remember that in Israel there was a split between the people, the Jew from Jerusalem and the Jew living in Galilee. 2 groups, the wise virgin and the foolish virgin. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. So the marriage, in Hebrew understanding, is very important, because the groom and the bride are separated. The groom the groom live by the father, and the bride go and prepare herself. We have the story in the Torah, which is very interesting. If you scrutinize and read the story of Rivka, when Eliezer was sent by Yitzchak to get a bride for his son Yaakov. You have all the ingredients to understand the Hebrew marriage. The bride must be prepared and willing. Prepared and willing. As we see with Rivka. Rivka was a virgin. She was a Betula. She was ready. She was ready. And she said, when she was asked, will you go? She said, yes, I will. And Yaakov was in the tent of his mother, preparing himself, waiting for the bride to come. So this is the same with Yeshua, with the father, and wait that the bride is ready, and the father tell him, now go to get the bride. So the position is very important to understand, because it plays a very important role in our days. We speak later. So now, he said, and the door was shut. Afterward came also all the virgins, saying, Master, Master, open to us. But he answered and said, very I say to you, I know you not. This is an Hebrew idiom. This is, I don't have any relationship with you. Was therefore, he repeat, for you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man comes. He repeated again 3 times, between chapter 24 and 25, 3 times you can read that you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man comes. So we need to be aware of that. But listen, you will see that now we will have a change. We're going to go now. So here Yeshua is speaking to his disciple in Matthew chapter 10. Another situation, but we should be very careful of the wording. And he said, I start with the verse 19, Matthew 10, 19. But when they deliver you up, take no thought or how or what you shall speak, for it shall be given you in the same hour what you shall speak. This means don't try to your imagination, just listen to the Ruach within you. For it is not you that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaks in you. And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child, and the children shall rise up against their parents, and cause them to be put to death. Remember I told you there was division between Jerusalem and the Galilean Jew. This is the fight he speaks here. And you shall be hated of all for my name's sake, but he that endure to the end shall be saved. It is in the first century. There was a battle between the Jerusalem Jew and the Galilean Jew. There was a battle. Okay? Now, verse 23. But when they persecute you in this city, flee you into another. For very I say to you, you shall not have gone over the city of Israel till the Son of Man be come. This should make us awake, aware of something. He says, look, you will not be able to go through the city of Israel till the Son of Man be come. Does it take 2,000 years to go to the city of Jerusalem, of Israel? To visit the city of Israel? Does it take 2,000 years? No, it doesn't take 2,000 years. It is a short period which happened in the first century, should happen in the first century. Now, this is, I give just a little context, because it is much more than that to speak. But we want to see here that there was if we ignore the history, we will not understand. And this is a big problem, okay? We're going to see that Daniel gives a scenario which was to give the coming of the Mashiach in the first century, okay? And it didn't happen. Also, some will tell me, oh, you ignore what, we don't have seen the man of perdition, we don't have seen, let's speak about the man of perdition, okay? This is the famous verses in Thessalonian, okay? Okay, donc we're going to read, okay? Look, in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, I start with verse 2, that you be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letters from us, as the day of Mashiach is at hand. So he's speaking to the people living in this time, in the first century. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Wow! What is the characteristics of this man of perdition? Who oppose and exalt himself above all that is called Elohim, or God, or that is worship, so that he as Elohim sitteth in the temple of Elohim, showing himself that he is Elohim. Now, very interesting, because people today, when they take these verses, they put it in the end of days, now before the coming of Mashiach. They say we need to have the temple, we need to have the man of perdition coming, and he will proclaim himself to be God, and so on and so on. No, that is Stuyot. That is wrong, absolutely wrong. And I explain. If you go now in the historical, and you can check for yourself, you will see that it is not a story. Now, I have said in the beginning that Roman emperor were worshipped as God. No, they have the total control. Now, among those in this time, living in this time, there was one called Gaius. And you will research Gaius Caligula. Gaius Caligula decided to erect a statue of himself in the temple in Jerusalem to show the Jew that there is no other to worship but himself. You see, this is this man which was predicted by Shaul. But Shaul speak about that. He was aware of something which will happen, but it didn't happen later on because Caligula was removed from his plan by one general, because the general knew that if he does that, he will bring a big trouble in Jerusalem, and was not a good way. But you can research for yourself, and this is what Shaul is speaking about, the man of perdition. Gaius Caligula wanted to erect a statue of himself and to put it in the temple in Jerusalem. And this is this man of perdition. There is no other man. Don't expect, we have no temple today. It's not the temple of our body. It's not the temple that will be rebuilt. There is no temple. And I will explain. So here you have an answer. If you search, you will see the story from God. And you will see the beast and the second beast and the first beast from Revelation is already finished. These are the emperors who follow since Caesar until the destruction of Jerusalem. Many emperors have taken place, and one beast gave to another beast. You have to research for yourself. I cannot read all what I have written because it's too long. But I explain that. Now, I want to come to the point because this is very important. Why do I speak so? Because the Daniel wrote in his book that the return of the Mashiach was expected in the first century. How do we know? We go to the book of Daniel and we look in Daniel chapter 9. Daniel chapter 9 is very interesting. So now we are in the book of Daniel and we have a new context. Okay? And we want to understand. So we read Daniel 9 from the verse 22. And he informed me and talked with me and say, this is the Malach, which is sent, the messenger, which is sent by Elohim. O Daniel, I am now come forth to give you skill and understanding. At the beginning of that supplication, the commandment came forth, and I am come to show you, for you are greatly beloved. Therefore understand the matter and consider the vision. And I come about the 70 weeks. 24. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people, upon thy Kadosh city. The people, which people? Judah. At this time, don't forget, the house of Israel, the northern kingdom, have been scattered abroad since already 6th century. Okay? So, upon thy people, the Kadosh city, to finish the transgression, to make an end of sin, to make reconciliation for iniquity, to bring everlasting righteousness, to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. To anoint the most holy. Okay? So, you see the consideration, the requirement. And they say 70 weeks. So 70 weeks in Hebrew understanding is 70 weeks is 70 times 7. 70 times 7, which is 490. 1 day for 1 year. 490 years. Okay? And we see that, here you keep going. He said, now therefore understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem, which has happened with the king of Persia, Darius, who sent Ezra to rebuild Jerusalem, unto the Mashiach, the prince, shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. Okay, 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous time. Because if you read the book of Ezra, you will see there was trouble to rebuild Jerusalem. There was people who wanted to hinder Ezra and the people to rebuild. And what is interesting is that they sent a messenger to Artaxerxes to show him that there was a decree which was made by Darius to rebuild Jerusalem, and they didn't do that on their own. After 62 weeks shall Mashiach be cut off, but not for himself, and the people of the prince shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. He is referring the prince that shall come, it is Vespasian, who sent Titus to destroy the temple in Jerusalem in the year 70. Okay? And the end shall be with the flood and to the end. And he say, the city and the sanctuary, and the end therefore shall be with the flood, unto the end of the war desolation are determined. War and desolation, to the end. After that, finish, nothing at all. War and desolation. Okay? It shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. In the midst of the week, it shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. For the overspreading of the abomination, it shall make it desolate, even till the consummation, and that determined shall be poured out upon the desolate. Okay? Now we're going to look. There is a verse which is very interesting. We're going to finish the part 1 with this statement from Yeshua, which which is false understood. You know, Kepha come to Yeshua and ask him something. He say, Master, how oft shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Till 7 times. Yeshua said to him, Matthew 18:22, Matthew 18:22. Yeshua said to him, I say not unto you until 7 times, but 70 times 7. Therefore is the kingdom of heaven likened unto a certain king, which would take account of his servant. You see, he says 70 times 7. 70 times 7 is what Yeshua used to explain, you will forgive your brother until the kingdom is established. The kingdom of Elohim. 490 times, 490 years. This was the promise from Daniel to establish a kingdom. You will say it's a coincidence. No, there is no coincidence. It's a perfect words of our master who explained that we will have to forgive our brethren until the kingdom is established. Now, we are here today, Mashiach has not come, and there is a reason for that. We're going to speak about that in the second part. So, shalom, and I hope to see you in the second part.